Good evening, class. Welcome to today's science lesson. And today's science lesson, we are going to cover the following topic, the circulatory system. We have seen other systems that are present within the human body, but today we want to deal with the circulatory system. Circulatory system in human body is made up of the following. The circulatory system in human body is made up of the following. One, we have the blood. So it is important, blood is an important component in the circulatory system. Then two, we have blood vessels. Blood vessels. Blood vessels are important because they are responsible for carrying blood from one part of the body to the other part of the body with the nutrients and so forth. Then from after blood vessels, we have the heart. So when we are going to cover the circulatory system, we are going to cover the blood in details, blood vessels in details, then we shall finish with the heart. So we can say blood components and functions. We shall want to know what are the blood components and what are their functions. Blood components and functions. Now, when we say blood components and their functions, we need to say, maybe to define what is blood, then we shall say the components of blood, what the blood is made of, and we see their functions. Blood is a transport liquid in the body. Blood is a transport liquid in the body and is made up of 4 components. So we are saying blood is a transport liquid in the body. It is a transport liquid . So we are saying blood is a transport liquid in the body. So, and it is made up of 4 components. It is made up of 4 components. These 4 components are very important. These are, we want to mention the 4 components which the blood is made of. One is called plasma. Plasma, and then 2, we shall see plasma in details. Then 2, we have red blood cells. Red blood cells. Then 3, we have white blood cells. White blood cells. Then 4, we have the platelets. We shall see the functions of these platelets in details later. Now we can start with plasma. With plasma, we want to know what the functions of plasma is. One, plasma is a pale yellow liquid, mainly watery. It is the largest component of blood containing dissolved substances such as proteins, amino acids, mineral salts, glucose, and urea. We are saying plasma is a pale yellow liquid, mainly watery. It is the largest component of blood. It contains dissolved substances such as protein, amino acids, minerals, salt, urea, and glucose. So we can see that plasma has these dissolved substances that are very important within the body. Whenever they are transported in different parts of the body, they are used up. That is plasma. Then what are the functions of plasma? We want to know the functions. The functions of plasma are as follows. One, it is to transport carbon dioxide from the various body parts to the lungs. To transport carbon dioxide from various body parts to the lungs. So what happens when this plasma, of course through veins, when it is transported to the lungs, what the lungs does, it picks that carbon dioxide. It diffuses out through the alveoli, where there are many blood capillaries. So in the lungs, it is able to pick this carbon dioxide and is released through the bronchioles, bronchus, then trachea, to the nasal cavity, and then lastly out through the nose. That's how we breathe out carbon dioxide. It is after it has been transported to the lungs by these plasma cells. That's just one function. The second function, of course, it transports digested food from the small intestine, yes, to various parts of the body. So apart from transporting that, another transport, it transports digested food from the small intestine, digested food from the small intestine to different parts of the body. Small intestine, we drawn the alimentary canal. And we say small intestines are close to 7 meters long. They're tiny, but there are many. And we say complete digestion takes place within the small intestine. So we are saying this plasma have a function of transporting the digested food from the small intestine walls to different parts of the body. Small intestines are the ones referred as ileum. That's another name for small intestine. Then another function is it carries waste products. Function 3, it carries waste products. Yes, it carries waste products such as urea to the kidney. Such as urea to the kidney. And we know what the kidney does. It ensures that it removes this urea to the urethra, then it gets out as urine and so forth. So we can see that it carries waste products such as urea to the kidney, which is later on removed through the urinary bladder and later on leaves the body through urethra. Then that's not the only functions of plasma. Another function is it distributes heat to all parts of the body. That's another function. It distributes heat to all parts of the body. So it has a functions of distribution, distributes heat to all parts of the body. We have seen the 4 functions of plasma, but we have a 5th function. We want to see the 5th function of plasma. It transports special chemicals called hormones to the parts where they are needed. So we are saying plasma, it transports special chemical called hormones to the parts where they are needed. So apart from the 4 functions you have seen of plasma, it is also responsible for transporting the different hormones that are produced with the different glands in our body to the areas where they are needed. So we have seen what plasma is, we have seen what plasma is made of, and the functions, close to 5 functions of plasma. We can go to second component of blood that we can read. We can look the red blood cells. Now, we want to know what is red blood cells and what is its function. What does it do within the circulatory system? So we are saying red blood cells are biconcave or circular discs. Red blood cells, these are circular or biconcave. They are biconcave or circular. So when you observe them, we shall have a diagram to see how they look like. So we are saying red blood cells are biconcave or circular discs in shape, without nucleus. These red blood cells, they are cells, yes, but they don't have the nucleus. Maybe the reason was to get more space for transportation of blood from one area to another. They are without nucleus. We maybe just to have a simple diagram to explain the red blood cells. That is an example of a red blood cell, and you can see they have very big, a very big space for transportation. So this is an example of a red blood cell. There was a thick, but the red blood cells looks like so. They are very small, but they are numerous, meaning the body has plenty of red blood cells. There are many. They live for a period of 4 months. Within 4 months, these red blood cells, they are dead. So they are normally produced at every given time before they die. Red blood cells are produced in red bone marrow. The bone marrow is responsible for the production of more red blood cells. So red blood cells are made in bone marrow. We want to know what are the functions. The functions of red blood cells. 1, they carry oxygen from the lungs to all parts, to all body cell parts with the help of the pigment called hemoglobin. So we can say they carry oxygen. They carry oxygen to body cells. They carry oxygen to body cells with the help of high hemoglobin. We have a red substance within the blood which is called hemoglobin. So with the assistance of hemoglobin, they are able to carry oxygen from the lungs to all parts of they carry oxygen from the lungs. Here it's from the lungs. From the lungs to body cells with the help of hemoglobin. That's true, hemoglobin. When oxygen combines with hemoglobin, it becomes, when oxygen combines with hemoglobin, it becomes oxyhemoglobin. We normally have oxyhemoglobin when oxygen combines with those red pigments, the hemoglobin. So we are saying, the major functions of red blood cells is transportation of oxygen from the lungs to different parts of the body cells. So the oxygen is transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin to different parts of the body cell. So it's important that red blood cells are known for transporting the oxygen from the lungs, because they are able to trap the oxygen that is valuable within the lungs using hemoglobin. Then they are transported to different body cells in the body. And then when we are through with red blood cells, we can see the white blood cells. And we shall see the white blood cells and their functions. So the third component that we can look is the white blood cells. We shall want to know what is the white blood cells. Well, the white blood cells, first, they are made in bone marrow. We had said red blood cells are made in bone marrow. Even white blood cells are made in bone marrow. And not only bone marrow, they are also made in spleen. It's an organ called spleen. The spleen is also responsible for making the white blood cells, and they are also made in the lymph nodes. So we can see the red blood cells are made in bone marrow. They're also made in the spleen and lymph nodes. They are of irregular shape. The white blood cells, they keep on changing their shape. So we are saying they are of irregular shape, they are of irregular shapes, and we are seeing that they are of irregular shapes and they are large than red blood cells. If you compare in size, white blood cells are bigger than red blood cells. But when we talk of a number, the white blood cells are fewer compared to red blood cells. Red blood cells are many than white blood cells, but white blood cells are bigger and larger when you compare them in size. So the white blood cells, they have nucleus, while the red blood cells, they don't have a nucleus. So the white blood cells, they have nucleus, and they change their shape. For instance, we can have this one as an example of, this is the nucleus. This other is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm, they keep on changing their shape. Their shape is not fixed, it keeps on changing. Maybe it keeps on changing its shape because of its functions, but they do have the nucleus unlike the red blood cells. So we are asking ourselves, what are the functions of these red blood cells? Functions. So white blood cells functions. The functions of white blood cells are, we call them, they are body defending soldiers. So they defend the body from any foreign attack. They are just like soldiers. So they fight and engulf the germs. They fight and engulf the germs. They engulf the germs. So when they engulf the germs, they completely destroy them. They fight and engulf the germs entering the body. So if there is any germ that is trying to enter the body, the white blood cells have a responsibility of fighting that foreign body, that germ that is trying to enter the body, and it will engulf that germ that is trying to enter the body. They also give protection. We call it immunity. They also give protection. They also give protection in form of immunity. Protection. They also, we are saying they also give protection in form of immunity. Protection, that is immunity. They also give protection in form of immunity against diseases. They give protection in form of immunity against diseases by making a special chemical. By making a special chemical called antibodies. So a chemical called antibodies, and antibodies are there to ensure that our body immunity is high, so that our bodies are prevented from being attacked by various germs that do cause diseases. So special chemical called antibodies. So we can see that the main function of white blood cells is to give the body immunity that it requires to prevent the body from being attacked by foreign bodies, which are germs. And if they are attacked, they have got a way, irregular shapes, they can be able to engulf that particular germ and kill it. So they have a way, they will be able to engulf, to move around that particular germ that tries to attack the body, and they finally kill it. So it fights for protecting the body. It can be able to fight the germs that are entering the body to ensure that they don't harm us, and therefore they also produce a chemical that is there for our protection. They give us immunity. They produce this chemical called the antibody, and an antibody is there to ensure that our immunity is high and we can survive very well. So we can go to the fourth component of blood, and that fourth component of blood is called platelets. So we want to see what are the platelets. We know if you have a scar, a fresh wound and so forth, you will find that from that scar, blood will be dribbling out. The blood will be coming out. So for that blood to stop, for clotting to take place, then these platelets are very important. They assist in blood clotting. So before that, we can say the following on platelets. They are very tiny bodies. They are very tiny bodies. They play a very important role as far as clotting of blood is concerned. When we get injured, they prevent further loss of blood, and they also ensure that they stop the germs from entering the body. By the virtue that they can be able to clot, if there is a fresh wound, that fresh wound to clot, it prevents further leakage of blood. And if that particular wound clots, it heals, it is able now to prevent the germs from entering the body through that particular wound. So we can say they prevent further loss of blood and also stop the germs from entering our body through that particular wound. So we can say the major functions of platelets is to stop, they assist by ensuring the blood clots. They assist the blood to clot so that wounds cannot continue harming us. They ensure that the germs don't pass through the wounds, and they do what we call blood clotting. So we can say clotting in blood is very important, because when you are injured, platelets assist in blood clotting so that the blood can come in and that blood place can close very fast. Therefore, we have seen the functions of these four components. We have seen the functions, what plasma is, and the functions of plasma as part of the blood component. From the plasma, we have seen the red blood cells. We have seen the way they are present within our bodies and their functions of red blood cells. From the red blood cells, we have seen that the white blood cells, what it does, apart from fighting the antibodies, fighting the germs that wants to end us. And lastly, we have seen the platelets, which is very important and responsible for clotting of blood to prevent germs from entering through fresh wounds into our bodies. Now we shall see from here now, we can go ahead and see types of blood vessels and their functions. For blood to move from one area of the body to the next area of the body, it needs a channel through which that blood will move through. The plasma we have been talking about, the white blood cells we have been talking about, even the red blood cells, they will need a channel or a channel through which they will move through. And this channel is called the blood vessels. Types of blood vessels and their functions. Types of blood vessels and their functions. What we can say is the blood flows around the body in tubes called blood vessels. We are saying the blood flows through our body in tubes called blood vessels. There are three types of blood vessels. One, we call it arteries. We have the arteries. We have the arteries, and arteries are responsible for transportation of blood from one part of the body to another part of the body. Then second, we have the veins. Veins are also responsible for transporting blood from one region to another. Then third, we have the capillaries, blood capillaries. We know the blood capillaries, they are vessels, but very tiny. There are times they serve as interconnections. They connect the blood vessels and veins. We normally say most of the arteries, they do carry oxygenated blood, and most of the veins, they do carry deoxygenated blood, meaning most of the blood they're carrying, oxygen is there but minimal. But when we talk of arteries, they carry blood that is rich in oxygen. So we are saying, after seeing the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries, we can look keenly how this artery looks like. We can start with the artery. We shall say something small on this artery. One, they look like so. They have what we call the narrow lumen. Narrow lumen, and they have a thick wall. This one is what we refer as thick wall. They have a thick wall, but the opening or the narrow lumen is so narrow, and it is purposely made to be like so that the arteries normally operate under high pressure. Because of the narrow opening, the lumen, you find that it is under high pressure, and when the blood is being pumped, it's pumped in such a way that the pressure is high. But we shall compare it to the veins where it has low pressure, but they also have valves to ensure that the blood does not go back, it goes forward ever. So we can look into the characteristics of these arteries. We want to see the major characteristics of these arteries. One, all arteries except the pulmonary artery, they carry oxygenated blood. All arteries except pulmonary artery. Carry oxygenated blood. So arteries within the body are known for carrying blood that is rich in oxygen. They carry oxygenated blood with an exception of only pulmonary artery. And we know pulmonary artery is located on the heart. When we shall be having the diagram of the heart, we shall be able to see exactly what pulmonary does, why it carries deoxygenated blood, and where does this deoxygenated blood pumped into. If it's pumped into the lungs, we say yes. Then from lungs, it will be able to bring oxygen back to the heart. So we are saying that's one of the characteristics. And then second characteristics, arteries are located deeper in the body. They have thick elastic walls. Arteries within the body, whether it's in the hand, they are located deeper. Deeper within the body. They are located deeper within the body. And they have thick elastic wall. And from this diagram, you can see this part is thick. And we were saying, why thick? Reasons for the wall being thick is so that it can maintain high pressure so that the pumped blood can reach the organs that they are intended to reach. So we are saying they are located deeper within the body and they have thick, elastic wall. Unlike veins, as we shall see, veins are located close to the skin, at the surface of the skin, so that even evaporation and other things can take place easily. So another characteristic, they have a narrow lumen or opening. You can see it is narrow. The opening is narrow. They have narrow lumen or opening. And we had said they have a narrow lumen or opening so that that can assist in terms of pressure. Pressure needs to be high so that this, the blood that is being pumped will reach the intended cells correctly. So they have narrow lumen or opening. Then the blood flows through the arteries under high pressure. The blood flows through the artery. They flow through the arteries under high pressure. They flow through the arteries under high pressure. Another characteristic, arteries do have a pulse. They do have a pulse. If you touch your wrist and you press it slightly, you will hear the pulse. The pulse rate will hear pulse, beatings from your arteries. Yes, you can actually touch and experiment, and you find within the wrist, you'll get to notice that there is a pulse. When you try to press the arteries, you will hear that pulse. So we are saying arteries have a pulse. Then the sixth characteristic, the aorta is the main artery. So we have the aorta. The aorta is the main artery. We shall see the aorta is located to the heart. It's the one that now pumps blood to different areas of the body. We call it the aorta. We shall see aorta being the main artery. It is located within the heart. When we are drawing the heart, we shall see especially where this aorta, the main artery, is located. Now, from what we have seen in the arteries, those are part of the blood vessels. We can go to a second category of blood vessel called veins. Yes. Veins, we shall have a rough diagram just to explain what veins are, and then we shall compare with earlier diagram of the arteries. One, we can say with veins they have a wide lumen. If we are to draw that is an example of a vein. What we want to communicate, one, when you talk of wide lumen, this area is too wide. So they are very wide so that the blood that is flowing through the veins, it flows slowly and it has low pressure. Valves are there, what we have indicated. So we can say these thin wall, they have thin walls as we're indicating, and these are valves. What the valves does, they assist, they ensure that the blood does not flow backwards. It's forward ever. So what are the major characteristics of veins? So veins have the following unique characteristics. One, veins carry blood to the heart. So we are saying veins carry blood to the heart. Then two, all veins, second characteristics, all veins with exception of pulmonary vein carry, all veins with an exception of pulmonary vein. Within the heart we shall see where the pulmonary vein is located. All veins with the exception of pulmonary vein carry deoxygenated blood they carry blood that is low in oxygen. They carry deoxygenated blood. Yes, all except they carry blood that is rich in carbon dioxide. So they carry deoxygenated blood or blood that is rich in carbon dioxide. Another characteristic that we associate with the vein is all veins are found near the surface of the skin and have thin walls with wide lumen. All veins near the surface of the skin, found near the surface of the skin, and have a wider lumen. When we talk of they have a wider lumen, we can see from this figure this wider lumen, and we have said that the pressure within the veins is very low. They have valves to prevent blood from flowing backwards. And we say blood flow in the veins slowly and smoothly because of low pressure. So we can say another characteristics, the blood flows slowly and smoothly because of low pressure. So that's another characteristics, that the blood will flow very smoothly and very slowly, and the veins have low pressure. The veins have also valves which prevent the blood from flowing back. So you can say the veins have valves to prevent blood flowing backwards. And we had shown that valves is there, it's necessary. It is another important characteristics. So it cannot flow back. Then the veins do not have a pulse. Remember when we were talking about artery, we said you can be able to hold your waist and you will be able to hear to note that there is a pulse that will be functioning within your wrist. But we are saying another important characteristics of veins, they do not have pulse. So there's no way you hold and then you get that they have pulse. They don't have a pulse. Then vena cava is the main vein. We have, we call it a vena cava, is the main vein. The other one we said the aorta is the main artery. Here we are saying vena cava is the main vein. When we shall be having the diagram of a heart, we shall be able to see the position of the main vein, the vena cava. We shall be able to see the position of the main artery, the aorta. We shall be able to see where pulmonary artery is and pulmonary vein is. The heart has got 4 places where the blood enters through and leaves through the chambers of the heart. Now, we are through with veins. We can advance ahead to a third component, and a third component of blood vessel is called the capillaries. We want to see what are the capillaries, what are the functions, and so forth. One thing, we can just have slight diagram to explain what capillaries are. That is a simple diagram. It can represent a capillary. They have single-celled wall, the single-cell wall. On blood capillaries, they're very tiny. And we are saying their walls are made of single cell. So they're very tiny, very tiny. It is through them where the air is able, the oxygen is trapped, and so forth. And even carbon dioxide diffuses out. So we can say the following characteristics that are associated with the capillaries. One is capillaries are very tiny and they have thinly walled blood vessels. They are very tiny, and have thin, they are very tiny and they have thin walled blood vessels. That is the first characteristics we can associate with the capillaries. The second is capillaries are a point of exchange between arteries and veins. So you can say capillaries are points of exchange between arteries. There are points of exchange between arteries and veins. We shall later on see how these interconnections are and how they work. Apart from that, we say capillaries also form a fine network inside the body tissues. So another characteristic we say that the capillaries form a fine network. They form a fine network inside the body tissues. They form a fine network inside the body tissues. Another characteristics of these capillaries, the digested food and oxygen go out from the capillaries into the body tissues. The digested food and oxygen go out from the capillaries to the body tissues. Which is okay, while carbon dioxide and other wastes such as the urea, carbon dioxide and other wastes such as urea from body tissues, they enter the capillaries. So we can see what's happening here. They serve an exchange whereby digested food and oxygen, they will be able to enter through the capillaries and then they enter the body tissues. At the same time, carbon dioxide and other waste products will leave the body tissues and enter the capillaries. They will enter the capillaries, and the capillaries will have a way of now taking them to the veins and then back to the lungs, to other body organs. So we can have a symbol diagram trying to explain exactly how these capillaries work. We had said that these capillaries, they serve as a point of interconnections between veins and arteries. We shall have a symbol diagram to illustrate this kind of relationship. When we can have such a tubes like so. We can have such a tubes, then such a tubes now, what we are saying, the two tubes that are far located, we can have this one as the artery, and this other one is the vein. Then we can see these interconnections this interconnection will be able to show us now what we want to explain. What we want to explain are these can stand for the capillaries. The capillaries are very tiny, and so we can see these tubes that are small, those are capillaries. And these are the veins. So these are the interconnections. Capillaries are too tiny between the veins, this end, and these are the capillaries. So you can find the substance will be able to diffuse in and to diffuse out through these capillaries. So what we have shown here, this is just the interconnections between the arteries and capillaries. And we had said this showing the interconnection between the capillaries and the veins. We have said capillaries are very important. They serve as an interconnection between the veins and arteries. And we have said there are substances which will be able to dissolve out from the capillaries, others will dissolve from the veins to the capillaries, and they are able to make such kind of exchange. We shall touch strictly on the following, the structure and functions of the heart. The structure and functions of the heart. We shall be able to see the structure of the heart because we have been talking about the veins. We have been talking about the arteries. All these are very important. They're important components of the heart. We shall see when the heart is pumping blood, how this blood is able to leave the heart to different parts of the body, and how this blood again comes back to the heart. So we are saying the structure and the function of the heart, but first, what is the heart? We can have a simple definitions of what the heart is. We can define the heart as a heart is a muscular organ situated at the chest cavity. It is a muscular organ situated at the chest cavity. So we are saying the heart is a muscular organ situated at the chest cavity, meaning the chest protects the heart. We have the chest cavity. Below the chest cavity, we have the abdomen. So we are saying one important thing about the heart is it is a muscular organ situated at the chest cavity. Another point we need to note about the heart is the heart receives and pumps blood to all parts of the body. Another point to note about the heart is the heart receives and pumps blood. It receives and pumps blood to all parts of the body. To all parts of the body. So the heart receives the blood. The heart receives the blood, and it also pumps this blood to various parts of the body. Then the third key point to note, and then we shall see, the heart is divided into the right side and left side. The heart is divided into the right side and left side. The heart is divided into the right side and the left side. What we are going to do in our next lesson, we are going to observe the parts of a human heart. We shall be able to see all the chambers. It has got 4 chambers of a human heart. We shall be able to see all the 4 chambers of a human heart and other parts of the heart. Other parts of the heart, we are going to study them, and then we shall see how it functions. The veins, the pulmonary vein, the pulmonary artery, the aorta, and the vena cava. We are going to study them so that we see how blood enters the heart and how it leaves the heart, how it is made with its muscle to ensure that it pumps, how is it adapted well to ensure that it pumps blood to different parts of the body. Therefore, this is going to be the end of this lesson today. When we come back in our next lesson, we shall start with the structure of a human heart. After the structure of a human heart, we shall discuss the many parts of the human heart. Thank you.